Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the BoshCast. I am your host, Brandon, and this is my co-host, Chris.
Since this is the first episode of the BoshCast, let me explain to you how it will work. The first two episodes will be hosted by myself and Brandon, and episode 3 is currently in the work as we speak, and more will be revealed in due time.
But today, we're going to be talking about... Actually, do you know what we're talking about today?
No, I don't. It's probably true crime though.
Well, you're right about that. Today, we're going to be talking about the mysterious death of Edgar Allan Poe.
Well, what's so mysterious about it?
Well, there's many theories around who actually killed him and what actually happened prior to his death, but we'll get into that a bit later on.
Hold on, did you say Edgar Allan Poe?
I did, yeah.
I think I've heard of him. He wrote The Raven, didn't he?
That he did. But there's so much more, and that's what we're going to get into today. So let's begin with his childhood. Edgar Allan Poe was born on January 19, 1809, in Boston to a pair of actors, Elizabeth Arnold Poe and David Poe Jr., who both died in the first 3 years of his life. He was then handed off to his presumed godfather, John Allan.
That's so sad. He must have, whatever happened to him, must have not have been worse as what happened to him.
Presumed godfather, though.
So for all we know, it could have just been handed off to some random fella.
Yeah, it could have just been some random guy.
Yeah.
In 1826, he was then enrolled in the University of Virginia, and he was an excellent student. John Allan, while being a wealthy tobacco merchant, was quite a tightwad. He would send Poe to university with less than a third of the money that he actually needed, which resulted in Poe gambling his little bit of money to try and make more. This was to no avail, however, and by the end of his first term, he was burning his own furniture just to keep warm.
So what you're telling me is that this guy was very, very poor, but then became one of the most successful poets in history.
Yeah, well, he was burning his own furniture to keep warm, though.
That's.
Imagine if you had to do that.
Oh, I'd hate it.
Imagine if you had to do that.
It's very unfortunate situation.
It is.
It's just the whole situation, the whole mystery is just unfortunate.
Having to gamble his money away as well, just to try and get a bit more to live off.
Yeah, I feel like though you could have investments were really a thing back then, though, weren't.
No, definitely.
So you can help build it.
I mean, he's just a uni student.
Exactly. So his life's just started. So
exactly.
It's not the end of the world for him.
That is true. Following this, he then got married to his cousin called Virginia when she was 27 and she was 13.
If you ask me, that is kind of sketchy.
I mean, it's very strange, but back in those times, it's a little more. It was more common.
Yeah.
I still don't think it's right.
Yeah, obviously, but it's what 50 year difference.
Yeah.
Now that would be very frowned upon.
Oh yeah.
And don't recommend it.
At the age of 24, Virginia died of TB.
Is that tuberculosis?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In the winter of 1847, and the literacy critics believed that he would soon follow her, and 2 years later, they'd be proven right.
I don't get how people can do that, predict death. That's just, especially.
I mean, literally predicting it based off the significant other just dying,
Yeah.
I don't know how. They were right.
Yeah. So she died of tuberculosis.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how Edgar Allan Poe died.
Maybe.
Because I shared it.
On the 27th of September, 1849, he arrived in Baltimore, and during the next 5 days, his whereabouts were completely unknown.
So he just mysteriously vanished.
He just completely disappeared. No one knew where he was. To be fair, there was no surveillance.
There's
no cameras,
no trackers or anything
it's a lot easier to disappear during 1840. I feel like.
Yeah, that makes sense.
On the 3rd of October, he was found on the streets of Baltimore, delirious and immobile, and dressed in shabby clothing. He was then later admitted to the hospital, where he was never fully regained consciousness to recall what had actually happened to him.
So, when he was just found, what was he actually doing?
He was just lay on the floor.
I don't know.
Completely unaware of everything that's happened, completely just in shock, basically.
So why wasn't he in Baltimore?
He was travelling back to see his ex-fiancée.
Oh, okay.
Later, his doctor, Dr. John J. Moran, wrote to Poe's aunt that his last days were filled with vacant converse with spectral and imaginary objects on the walls. His face was pale and his whole person was drenched in perspiration.
That just sounds disgusting.
Yeah, it's like grim imagery.
Yeah. What even is perspiration?
It's like sweat. So he's just like kind of soaking in his own sweat.
That's... Oh, yeah, just lying down, just in a pool.
I mean, like, imagine when you're ill with a high fever and you're just dripping bullets.
Yeah, that's never happened to me. I gotta admit, I've not been, like, absolutely soaked in sweat. But, like, if that's happened to you,
it's pretty bad. You ready for a theory?
Hit me.
So, people believe that he was fatally beaten, perhaps after drinking, as he becomes very inebriated just after one drink, and would have been an easy target for people like ruffians to be beaten and robbed for anything that he needed, which would explain his shabby clothing that he was found in when he was, you know, on the streets.
Yeah, but at the same time, was it the same was that clothes that he was found in, were they just like the same clothes that he was wearing, just like ripped pieces, or like different clothes?
It's unknown. It's just shabby clothing. So, which he wasn't known to wear shabby clothing.
Yeah,
he was known to wear quite grand, like...
So they might have just, like, ripped his clothes.
Maybe.
They could have just, like, stripped, not, like, fully stripped, like, partially stripped and, like, ripped his clothes and all.
Yeah, it's possible.
So that might happen. Might be possible.
Another part to this theory is people actually believe that he was beaten to death by the 3 brothers of his ex-fiancée.
The ex-fiancée that he was going to visit?
Yeah, the ex-fiancée he was literally travelling to remarry.
So she might have planned us all out. Like, she might have invited him to come back and then killed him.
Possibly.
That could be a very high possibility. I'm starting to believe that one.
It does all add up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it makes the most sense out of them all.
Another part of this is that they believed that the brothers actually were the ones who drugged him with alcohol before the beating, because they knew he couldn't take a drink.
That would make sense, because his ex-fiancée could have told them, like,
so they could have knew the information.
Yeah.
And another part to it as well is apparently they were them 3 have supposedly warned Poe about marrying her. So them 3 already had it out for him by the sounds of it, making it, to me, more believable.
Yeah, it does sound... It's
more credible.
Yeah.
If that's true, like, it is supposed.
Yeah. Even though it's the only theory I've heard, it's like the most believable of them all.
Yeah.
If you have any theories, let us know.
Unfortunately, that is all we have time for today. Thank you for listening to the first episode of the BoshCast. Stay tuned for episode 2.
And as always,
keep on boshing.
Keep on boshing.
Who's that? Captain Dan! I'm not a Captain Dan. I'm Captain Dan's twin brother. Pirate Captain Dan.
Hadouken!
Perfect.
Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the BoshCast. I'm your host, Brandon. This is my co-host,
Chris. We would like to welcome any new listeners to the BoshCast, and we will please advise you to listen to episode 1,
where I discuss the mysterious death of Edgar Allan Poe.
And for any previous listeners, I want to thank you for coming back to episode 2, especially after Brandon's rambling last episode.
Come on, lad.
I said what I said. I'm sorry. Today, we're going to switch things up. I'm going to be taking charge of this episode, because I will be speaking about the ghost ship's mystery, the Mary Celeste. Do you even know what it is? What it's about?
I've never even heard that.
I've not heard of it. It's one of the most wildest mysteries that's ever happened at sea, just in general. So you've got a movie to pick on what happened.
Really?
Yeah?
Right. Okay, so tell me what happened then.
So basically, there were these 11 crew members that were travelling from Genoa, Italy. No, travelling from New York to Genoa, Italy. And suddenly, halfway through the voyage, they just disappeared.
Oh. Was the crew identified or?
Only 3 of them were: the captain, Benjamin Briggs, the wife, Sarah Briggs, and their daughter, Sophia Briggs.
No one else?
Well, there was 8 other crew members, but they've been yet to be identified.
Oh, that's weird. Oh. Where was it found?
Well, it was found near Portugal because it was just left in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, but it was currently 400 miles away from the Azores, which is out of Portugal, outlets. So,
yeah. When was it found?
it was found on December 4th in 1872, 28 days after it set sail, because it set sail on the 7th of November the same year.
Was anything like stolen from the ship or missing?
No, everything was just perfectly intact because they were carrying 1,700 barrels of denatured alcohol, and they were just left. Same with the crew's belongings.
So you're telling me that 11 people went missing and not a single item on board was stolen?
No, just vanished, mysteriously. So that's one of the biggest mysteries.
Was there anything like any leads to where the crew went?
Well, in the ship's log, it was the last entry in it was November 25th, and that was 10 days before they were found. But it hasn't been, it hasn't came up what was in the ship's log. All that was wrote in it was the dates. Very mysterious.
There is. So is there any theories?
Well, there's 2 theories that I had planned to talk about, but there's several about it. The first theory was that there was a mutiny against the captain. And do you know what mutiny means?
Yeah.
So, for anyone who doesn't know, it means when a ship's crew turns on its captain and throws him overboard. So, what the theory says is that the captain and a crew member had to fight, and obviously the crew joined in to help one of the 8 crew members, and then they kidnapped and threw the captain overboard, as well as his family, and just left.
So then they just abandoned ship after that?
Yeah. Wait.
I'm not sure if I believe that theory.
Yeah, because one of the...
they would have no reason to leave.
Exactly, and also one of the things is why not take the stuff.
The goods.
Exactly. Yeah. Why not keep the ship for themselves?
I wouldn't throw it away.
Definitely, it's valuable items.
Okay, what's the other theory you planned?
Well, the other theory was, and this sounds ludicrous, but piracy. Do you know what piracy means?
What's it like? They were boarded.
Kinda. What piracy means for people who don't know is attacking an enemy ship for valuables or goods. So the theory says that the pirates pillaged the ship and robbed it of its goods and kidnapped the crew members. But there's several flaws to that theory because
again, there was no goods stolen.
Exactly.
They would have took them.
Exactly. They go and just go, oh, I'm a pirate. Come here. I've got you, not you, not the goods. I want you. Just makes no sense.
So out of those 2 theories, then which one do you believe?
Out of the 2, I'd more believe the mutiny theory. What one do you think?
Probably the mutiny as well, but I don't know if I believe either of them.
Okay, what would you think then? No. What theory do you have then?
I don't really have a theory, I just don't believe either of the 2 that we spoke about. Because I don't know, just both of them seem illogical.
Okay. Thank you all for watching episode 2 of the BoshCast.
Or listening, depending on the platform.
And we was highly recommended if you go back and look at episode 1, as it is a really great episode.
It is. And be sure to be on the lookout for episode 3,
which currently is in development as we speak.
So, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in, and as always, keep on bashing.
That it?
Yeah. Dinner?
Yeah.
Do you mind turning the camera off?
I don't think so.
Probably start planning episode 3, shouldn't we?
Yeah, what do you reckon we should do for? Ooh, I know. Aliens?
Dinner?
This is a nice house.
It is.
Yeah, keeping this.
Right. You ready to go get some dinner?
Yeah, what we got?
Mackey's.
Ooh, I'm thinking Greg's.
No, I'm not a fan of Greg's.
Really? What?
Don't know, I just got off it like.
Have you even tried the two speeds?
What is that? What? What is that light? Floating? Oh!
Where are my hosts? What's this? Oh no! It's terrible! You're hired.
Planet Earth about to be recycled. Your only chance to evacuate is to leave with us.
Who is this man? And what does he mean the Earth's going to be recycled? But before we get into that, I need to introduce a very special guest. Live from Arkansas, ufologist Conspiracy Clint.
Thanks for having me today. It's good to be here, Alex.
Hi, Clint. Great. So, I think it's important we know who we're talking about. Clint, do you know anything about Heaven's Gate?
I know a little bit. I know that they were that cult that believed that the aliens were going to come down and take them to heaven, and then they killed themselves.
Exactly, but do you know who the founders were, Clint?
No. Tell me a bit more about it, Alex.
Well, the group was founded by two people, Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles. Applewhite was born May 17th, 1931 in Texas. Bonnie Nettles was born August 29th, 1927 to a Baptist family. They met in 1972 at a hospital. The reason Applewhite was there was unknown, but Bonnie was a nurse. They immediately believed they had a connection, a spiritual connection. So they started discussing mysticism, the occult, religion, and sci-fi. They believed that they were the two from the Book of Revelations, and they had to spread this message. In 1974, after Applewhite was released from prison because he'd failed to return a rental car, the two decided to go around the United States and spread this message and try and gain followers. They managed to gain about 100 members doing this by holding meetings and no posters.
Like they gathered people.
Yeah. But they ended recruitment in April 1976 when they decided to go solitary. Not much happened after this, but in June 1985, Bonnie Nettles died. Melanoma that spread to her liver. This drastically changed the group's beliefs since they believed neither of them could die due to their status as members of the next level. Now we'll get on to the beliefs of the cult.
What they believe in.
Well, it was Christianity mixed with aliens, pretty much. They believed that aliens created humanity millions of years ago, that these aliens would come back and take the ones who have achieved terror, the evolutionary level above human, to the next level itself through a spaceship that they would physically board. This belief changed after the death of Nettles, since they are spirits now because she had died.
So how were they worthy of the next level? How'd they get to that point?
Well, they'd have to abandon all things that made them human, like individuality, money, friends, family, sexuality, and the names. And they changed all the names to follow the suffix OD by 3 letters. So there was a Silv OD, just, called OD, or stuff like that, really.
Why'd they go and do that?
Well, because everything possessed were evil, due to them being corrupted by the Luciferians, an evil alien race that had taken over all Earth religions and fake miracles, and were trying to keep humanity down.
Well, Alex, as Arkansas's best conspiracy theorist, I do believe that the world is run by Satan.
Applewhite believed that he was the same being that walked into Jesus' body. That same being had walked into his body and kicked him out, the same way they did Jesus 2,000 years ago.
What? I don't believe that.
Okay, what happened there?
Well, I think there was a religious group that committed suicide.
How long ago? Do you know about how long ago?
I'm not really sure.
Okay, and how did you hear about this?
I was notified by mail. I just thought I'd pass it on to you just so you can know.
Okay, can I get your name?
No, I'd rather remain anonymous.
Okay, no problem at all. That was 18241.
Well, what about the mass suicide?
Well, on March 22nd, 1997, Heaven's Gate prepared to take their own lives, which they believed would cause the spirits to float up to the Hellbot comet, where the elements would pick them up and take them to the next level. They killed themselves by, what was it? It was applesauce, poisoned applesauce washed down with vodka. And this event took 39 lives, actually, including Applewhite. So, well, they all wore the same things as well, which would have, full black clothes, perhaps that said away tea, and fresh Nike decades. Which are now, you find them on eBay. They all sent out packages as well to news outlets and former members informing them what had happened. This included Rio D'Angelo, who recorded the video seen at the start of this segment. He went to the Heaven's Gate house and recorded what he saw. He also phoned police to alert them of the suicide itself. Yeah, so what do you think about that, Clint?
I think it's all a bit messed up. I'm not sure I have, a big enough stake in this. That's bad. Yeah, mate.
And even now, you can still find the group online, as two members, Mark and Sarah King, have kept the group alive through the website. You can still go on it today, and it's still in the state it was in 1997. The message read alert, Hellbot comet brings closure to Heaven's Gate. You can also contact them through the email in the description, which I did to ask them a few questions.
Emailed them?
Yeah, they still active nearly 30 years later, which I didn't really get that good of answers, but...
That is crazy. What'd you ask them?
I just asked them if they were ever planning on doing a comeback, which they're not.
Simple enough.
Yeah. So that's the end of Heaven's Gate. They didn't. Died. All of them, pretty much. Quinn, do you have anything you want to say?
Well, I feel like I've been informed. So, how about you come on to my podcast next week, the Conspiracy Clint Podcast, and we'll talk about this some more.
I'd love to, Quint. Okay. See you soon, buddy.
See you soon, buddy.
Your podcast was the worst thing I've ever seen. Alex, you're fired!
I got it!
Come on. Get me Captain Dan!
This is Captain Dan. I'll be there.
Captain Dan.
That's about it.
Say. This is where you'll be filming.
Hello and welcome to episode 4 of BoshCast. My name is Dan and I'm going to be discussing the plane hijacking and disappearance of the man going by the name of D.B. Cooper back in the year of 1971. This case file was marked as unsolved due to the man referring to the name of D.B. Cooper reportedly going missing and still to this day has not been found. DB Cooper went with the name of Dan Cooper and was a white male aged between 35 to 50 years of age. He also had brown eyes and was a medium build. Also, was most likely to be left-handed, as he interacted with his briefcase with his left hand rather than the right hand. Cooper boarded a Boeing 737 aircraft with the flight number 305 leaving from Portland, Oregon, which was bound for Seattle, Washington. Cooper was dressed quite smart on that day, as he was dressed in a black smart casual suit, which could have foreshadowed something bad happening on board the flight to Washington, as we often see hitmen wearing smart black suits when they are going to commit a murder. Once Cooper boarded the flight, he found his designated seat, which was shown on his boarding card, and ordered himself a drink of bourbon and soda and a pack of cigarettes for the flight. Cooper acted mostly casual during the takeoff of Flight 305 until he started writing a note and passed it on to a passing flight attendant, which stated that Cooper wanted the flight attendant to sit with him for the duration of the flight, and also stated that he was armed with an explosive bomb which was in his briefcase. This tells us that this was the start of the hijacking to Flight 305 to Washington. The flight attendant that Cooper passed the note on to went with the name of Florence Safner, and she cooperated with Cooper and went along with his orders and sat down on the seat next to him. Later on in the flight, Cooper wanted Florence to tell the pilot about him having the explosive bomb and to request a fuel stop where he could expect to pick up 4 parachutes and a bag of $200,000 in $20 bills. And once he gets the parachute and the bag of money, he will start to release 36 passengers that are on the aircraft. Once the flight refueled in the destination of Seattle, Washington, Cooper swapped the 36 passengers for the 4 parachutes and the bag of money, and demanded that the flight had to take off again on course for the destination of Mexico City. The flight eventually took off for Mexico City, and Cooper could be seen by the flight attendants that were on board that he was piling up all the money into one of the 4 parachute bags, and later he walked further towards the back of the plane with the parachute bag full of money, and he demanded to the captain to fly with the landing gear down and to lower the rear staircase of the aircraft. The captain did what he was told, even though it was dangerous to fly with the landing gear down and the rear staircase lowered. All of a sudden, all the flight attendants that were held hostage on the flight all heard what could be called a large crash towards the back of the plane. Once the fighters landed in Mexico City, it all came clear by the FBI that Cooper possibly had jumped from the rear of the plane with the large ransom of money. After the FBI conducted their searches for Cooper on the aircraft, it indicated that Cooper quite possibly parachuted into a wooded area of southwestern Washington, never to be seen again still to this day. We know from local sources that the FBI managed to recover some evidence that links clearly to the DB Cooper hijacking case, such as his black tie which he removed before he put on the parachute, and also some ripped shreds of the money which must have fallen out of the parachute bag Cooper had the ransom money in. We also know, nearly a decade later, that a young boy named Brian Ingram found a large amount of money which all matched the same serial numbers as what was on the ransom money which Cooper took with him in the parachute bag. This gave the FBI more evidence to look into. The DB Cooper case has therefore been marked as unsolved, as the man referring to the name of DB Cooper has still not been found, and there has only been a sufficient amount of evidence that the FBI have been able to recover from the crime scene. The FBI has also asked if anybody has any information or evidence that will help them with the DB Cooper investigation, then to please report it immediately to their local police or FBI office. That's all we have time for on today's podcast on the unsolved case file of the DB Cooper plane hijacking. Please like, share and subscribe if you want more podcasts to be released. Thank you for listening and signing off.
That was the greatest thing I've ever seen. You're promoted.
Ocean man, take me by the hand, lead me to the land that you understand. Ocean man.
Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the BoshCast. I'm your host, Tom, and today we're going to be discussing a mystery I find most interesting. But first, ladies and gentlemen, a special guest.
So,
Hi, Brandon.
hello.
Yeah, take a seat.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me
No worries.
on the podcast that you're already part of. So, do you know what we'll be talking about today?
I don't have an idea.
Well, because it's the BoshCast, it's going to be another mystery. Today, we'll be discussing the disappearance of Chris Kremers and Lisanne Foon. So, what I find most notable and interesting about this is that they documented their disappearance because they brought a camera with them on the hike and they were taking lots of pictures.
Oh, so they just took pictures of every place they went before they disappeared.
At the start, yeah, it was seemingly innocent enough. They were taking pictures of environments, just them two smiling, selfies and whatnot. So, as I said, they documented the night of the disappearance. Based on what people have kind of gathered from the pictures they took, they didn't leave the area they were in. They just stayed there the entire time. But it was very clear that they were alive for at least a few days in that jungle.
Yeah.
Because they tried several times to call the German version of 911, to try and get through to the police before their phones eventually died. Yeah, it was confirmed a few months later by discovering one of the girls' pelvic bones and severed foot in a shoe that they unfortunately passed while they were missing. But that's kind of the point of intrigue because there's two kind of main theories in regards to that, in the sense that did they succumb to the elements of the forest or were they murdered?
It sounds to me like they got lost.
Pause, right? Because that's kind of where I disagree. There's a lot of evidence that pushes towards it being a sense of foul play. First off, the severed foot in the shoe. The fracture of the bone from which she fell. It seems more like a clean cut than, an accidental fall, really. And it's also a sense of Lisanne's pelvic bone, when that was discovered, it was bleached, but not in a natural kind of sun-bleached way. But two things that I feel really pushes towards it is the man, that took the girls to the mountain for the hike in the taxi. That was a lot of words. He was murdered shortly after. People said that a gang, I think it was a gang, showed up, basically asked him where the girls went, and then a few days later, after reporting his testimony, he was murdered.
So what if there's any significant evidence on any of the pictures that were taken?
I'm inclined to agree that, because photo 509 was manually deleted, and that's one of the last photos before the nighttime photos they took when they were missing. And it's unusual because it had to have been done manually. Because if you delete it with the camera, the next photo you take would replace photo 509, but it just doesn't exist anymore. So it infers that someone's put the SD card on the computer and manually deleted the picture, which could point towards foul play. Maybe it's the camera being weird. Maybe it's something else, but I'm very inclined to believe that this whole thing was done with malice. Well, that is unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you are, all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining me today, Brandon.
No worries.
If you have not listened to the other episodes, because they're good, not as good as this one, but they're still good. As always, keep boshing.